This is question number 2 on homework number 11. The question says, write the equation of the circle. So we know for an equation of a circle, we need two things. We need the center and we need the radius. Once we have those two things, we can plug it into our formula, which was x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So our center will be the h and the k, and our radius will be whatever this is. So our center point is pretty easy to find. It's right here. This is 1 and then 2 right here. So 1, 2 will be our center. I'm going to write that right here, 1, 2. And then our radius, well, we're not given the radius, but we can find the distance between these 2 points, and that will be our radius. So we're going to use the distance formula for that. Before we do that, we need to figure out what that point is. So if I look down here, that's in between the 2 and the 3. So the number right in between 2 and 3 is going to be 2.5. So 2.5 is my x value. My y value lines up right on 4. So my y value is going to be 4. So to find the radius, we need to find the distance between these, which means we need to do our distance formula. So I'm going to say d equals the square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. And now we can label our points x1 and y1. Doesn't matter which one you start with as long as you stay consistent. So if I could do this one as x1, y1, then I can do this one as x2, y2. Plug in our numbers here. x1 is going to be 1, so 1 minus x2 is 2.5 squared plus y1 is 2 minus y2 is 4 squared. So my distance will be 1 minus 2.5 on my calculator. Let's see, 1 minus 2.5 gives me negative 1.5. And then 2 minus 4 is going to be negative 2. So negative 2 squared. So now that I have this, I can go ahead and square them. So negative 1 times negative 1, or negative 1.5 times negative 1.5. We know that a negative times a negative will give us a positive, so I'm just going to do 1.5 times 1.5. And that gives me 2.25 plus negative 2 squared, which would be negative 2 times negative 2, would be positive 4. So my distance is going to be 2.25 plus 4. If you can't do that in your head, you can grab your calculator, 2.25 plus 4, and we get 6.25. So square root of 6.25 is my radius. Square root of 6.25. And now we can use that formula right here. So down at the bottom, I'm going to write x minus, and then h is going to be my first center point. So my first center point is 1, so x minus 1 squared, plus, then in our formula we have y minus k. So I'm going to do y minus whatever my y value for the center point is, which would be 2, equals, and then we said that it's going to be r squared. Well, we know the radius is square root of 6.25. If we square that, the square and the square root are going to cancel out. So I get 6.25 would be my answer.